Whoa.
In the
That was
heart
insane.
of Ukraine, a quiet revolution stirs. The creation of new tools of war.
This has went through the roof, hasn't it? It's went
Built
crazy.
by volunteers and students and technicians, tinkerers who are repurposing their skills to resist invasion.
Wow. Hey troops, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan and I'm a former commando from the United Kingdom. Today we're going to be reacting to DIY Drones, War Will Never Be the Same. It's by the fantastic channel Johnny Harris, and yeah, I'm really appreciative that we're allowed to do these reactions to this type of content. This video is going to be fantastic, guys. Honestly, his content is among the best on YouTube, guys. So sit back, relax. Wow. I need to sit back and relax. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We're just going to get straight into this. Boom. These things are literally made in people's back
a quiet
rooms.
revolution stirs. The creation of new tools of war. Built by volunteers and students and technicians, tinkerers who are repurposing their skills to resist invasion. We partnered with the Kyiv Independent to get a deeper understanding of what this actually looks like. This is their story, and the story of how set they are on keeping their country.
Wow.
Not by having bigger weapons, but by having smarter ones.
Ukraine's underground drone makers. Wow, I'm looking forward to this, guys. Let's get into it, man.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
This is Francis Farrell, a reporter from Ukraine's largest English-language news outlet, the Kyiv Independent.
Kyiv Independent,
They've been covering this war in depth, and they worked with us to tell this story.
Kyiv Independent is where I get most of my information from. It's a fantastic outlet.
How is Kiev feeling these days?
It's this kind of tense waiting period because everyone's ready for another kind of wave of Russian missile and drone attacks against the energy system.
I want to hear about your time on the front lines, and I want to hear about drones, and just walk me through that story.
11 o'clock in the morning, we met our contact. We jumped in his car and headed out straight towards the city of Bakhmut, which is now basically
Completely under Russian occupation, destroyed. It's just horrendous.
in ruins.
So sad, man.
It was pretty quiet, but then we started to get hit by Russian shelling, by mortar shelling. You can hear the whistle coming in and the explosion. You can feel it in the ground when it's really close. And when the time came, a target was acquired, and it was time to go out and fly. They had the drone ready with the munition on it.
And what did the drone look like? Can you describe it?
So it's an FPV drone, so it's a quadcopter, but it's a very kind of crude design. And on the bottom you have the actual munition strap. It's actually made from a helicopter rocket. They cut the rocket part off and they just used the warhead. The pilot put on these crazy futuristic goggles and had the controller in his hand.
You know, I've got drones. I use drones all the time for video recordings and stuff. And honestly, guys, this technology is phenomenal, especially if you're using it on the battlefield. The ingenuity that the guys need to use to put these munitions on the bottom is as good as it gets in a battlefield situation. Okay, it's only going to get more. You're going to use these more as well in wartime. I've said this for years. Drones are literally going to change the face of war. And look at that thing.
But at that point, you start to see this Russian electronic warfare jamming stuff starting to kick in. So it really is like, oh, the signal's gone. Oh, now it's back. There's a button somewhere that's like, okay, this is where we release the bomb.
So a lot of the drones that they're using in Ukraine actually look a lot like the drones I use when I'm out reporting.
That's literally what I've got.
In the field, which I'm going to get to in a little bit. I need to tell you about something, which is spam. Spam has taken over all of our lives. Our phones blow up, our email is a mess, spammers will text you. It's all gotten out of control. If you've ever used to push them until all of your information is deleted, how many requests they live, or that if you 60% off They sponsored a number of drones.
That's what this war is all about, really. It's this mix of very old school, brutal tactics of infantry and artillery, but with this high-tech edge.
That looks awesome.
Some of these drones are military weapons designed for warfare, but more and more we're seeing drones being made in homes and classrooms and DIY workshops around the country by students and volunteers, overnight drone experts who bypass the Ukrainian army and send their drones directly to soldiers on the front line.
Wow.
This is where war becomes really almost scary and futuristic.
To understand how drones became a centerpiece of this war
the size of
and
that
why
thing.
engineering students are the ones making them, we have to remember how the war started.
Putin has just launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
Since the beginning of this conflict, Ukraine's biggest weakness has been the sky. Russia has a much stronger air force, and they quickly developed air superiority. This allowed them to better gather intelligence, support their ground troops, and precisely deploy missiles. This was Russia's huge advantage. Ukraine needed a way to fight back.
Yeah, it was a huge advantage at the start of the war, especially the initial invasion. It took a massive toll on Ukraine.
And so they started turning to military drones.
Bayraktar, the Turkish-made weapon Ukrainian officials are touting as one of the most effective in their arsenal that's played a part in slowing down the Russian advance.
But drones like this kind of resemble traditional airplanes.
Too big, too cumbersome, single use in some cases, depending on the type of mission set it's doing, and yeah, just cost an awful lot of money. Whereas these FPV drones, honestly, guys, get them for like $100 and they can do just as much damage.
They're easily spotted and shot down by Russia's anti-aircraft weapons. They needed to find another way.
They needed eyes in the sky. That's literally how they tell me every time. And so very quickly there was a frenzy to buy DJI civilian drones, you know, for hobbyists, for photographers, YouTubers.
This is actually the type of drone that I've always used when I do my field shoots. And I gotta say, it's a pretty useful tool for the use case of the Ukrainian army. It's light, it's portable, it's cheap, and it's small enough to not be detected by Russian radar.
And very quickly they figured out how to integrate them with their tactical maps, learned how to jailbreak the software to get around the geo-blocking.
Soon, you've got Ukrainian soldiers writing back to their families, asking for supplies and bulletproof vests, and more
And drones.
asking for drones. These DJI
that's
drones
insane.
became really useful for helping
I remember this attack. I literally covered this, guys.
Ukrainian soldiers have a reconnaissance view from above. They could see the lay of the land. It also helped them more accurately pinpoint their targets with these big artillery guns they were using.
From an infantry's perspective, from a marine perspective, my own, having eyes in the sky is everything, because before you move into an area, you've got a drone in the sky quite literally giving you a live feed of what's going on in the situation. These things are so important, guys. We use drones to our advantage as well, but in an active wartime situation, these things are phenomenal, okay? And never mind the fact that you can strap munitions and bombs to them and then drop them on the targets if it isn't clear. Fantastic bits of kit. I don't think people realize just how important they are.
Immediately became the bread and butter for any Ukrainian unit. And then from there, the innovation just really began to get going.
Yeah. Look at that. That's crazy.
These DJI drones were useful, but they had
Plus, DJI is really happy now, aren't they?
limits. DJI, which is a Chinese company, is not thrilled about their drones being used in war.
Money. Just like Toyota. All right. We all know what Toyota was used for. Come on, guys. They're really happy.
Especially by the Ukrainians. So they make big efforts to block software and hardware from getting into the country. These drones are also vulnerable to Russian jamming. Basically, you can jam the signal and make these drones basically useless. Also, you can't really customize a DJI drone that much. Ukrainian soldiers needed to be able to customize their drones more and more as the war progressed.
Yeah.
And that led to the rise of the FPV drone.
Good
These
business
drones
to
are
be in.
usually used for like racing or for getting shots like this.
These things are fast as well, man.
The strength of the FPV drone is that they're easily put together with cheap parts, and they can be highly customized with a little help from a 3D printer. On the battlefield, Ukrainian soldiers started taking these little FPV drones and strapping explosives to them, carrying it across the front line, and then barreling right into a Russian target. These cheap drones became the edge that Ukraine needed to level the playing field in the sky. But there was one major problem.
They get destroyed constantly, and obviously kamikaze drones are only meant to be used once.
Yeah.
They're also a kind of expendable material on the front line.
Soldiers began using a lot of these things. Like, by one estimate, they're using 10,000 of these drones per month.
10,000 a month? That is crazy.
And if a unit doesn't get them replaced very, very quickly, they can be in big trouble on their little part of the front line.
And yet, the flow of drones kept coming, thanks in part to a widespread effort, a grassroots effort, all around the country, from resourceful Ukrainians who saw an opportunity to apply their technical skills to supporting their country.
Я Зюков Микита, мені 20, Київ, я народився в Криму. Я інженер-авіатор, я не те, щоб тут більше є.
He's getting so much experience right now.
The Kiev Independent helped us connect with some of these drone makers. They are technicians, engineers, some of them are students, a lot of them are volunteers, and they are the ones keeping these drones flowing to the front lines.
Коли почалось вторгнення, я такий,
So they're literally doing the most patriotic thing you could do in supplying the front lines. It's not these big factories, it's not the big companies or corporations, it's students and aviation engineers. That's crazy.
щоб поробити такого цікавого і корисного. Хочу щось допомогти. Препод зібрав групку студентів, які такі, чому би і поділити. І я там навчився всього. Паять, прошивати дрончики. Ми їх збирали, робили. Віддавали військовим також.
I wonder if they're getting any money for this. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments. Is this a profitable business?
Чи чим?
Я займався оптовим продажем пального.
This guy, Denis Lupchenko, used the money and infrastructure from his existing business, but redirected it to making drones.
Пташку ми вже отримуємо запити від військових. Нам потрібна та камера, така дальність нам потрібна, така вантажопідйомність, і ми вже підбираємо під них борг.
This informal drone economy has cropped up organically, and it's widespread. A lot of people are participating in it, but it's outside of the authority of the government or the military.
Все це зроблено без копійки грантів, допомог,
Wow.
донатів.
So he's not
Це
getting
було
anything.
зроблено за свої власні кошти.
It's yet another expression of how Ukrainians are resourcefully fighting back in light of their country being invaded by a much stronger power.
So you have IT specialists, you have engineers, and you basically have this nation which is just very experienced with tinkering and experimenting and coming up with solutions on the spot for really tricky problems.
That's the thing with war. It allows people to start creating and thinking outside the box. And we've seen a lot of modern day creations actually being created as a result of war. Medicine took a massive leap forward in World War II, for instance. All right. It's just one of those things. And it seems like drones and the technology of how to use it within the war space has developed massively throughout this. The next wars that will be fought will be so much, I don't want to say so much better, but the drone technology will be adapted and adjusted accordingly because of this war.
Got the technical background, and now there's motivation.
Здебільшого це лежить на плечах безпосередньо самих виробників. Вони займаються розширенням асортименту, вдосконаленням пташок.
Як камікадзе, якщо залупашить якийсь танк, який коштує $1 мільйон, отаку штуку, яка коштує на максимум $400,
Wow.
Very often you see fundraisers just scrolling through Instagram stories organized by friends of soldiers who know that there are people out there on the front line. They need a drone.
So you have started to see that the tactics of drones on the battlefield are evolving really quickly. They're starting to settle into some main tactics that drones are now being used for all of the time. A first major one is recon and intelligence gathering.
Surveillance.
Drones being undetectable eyes in the sky allow Ukrainian soldiers to get a lay of the land in a way that you can't really get any other way, unless you have like a full-blown air force. They're able to track and view their adversaries' troop movement, and crucially, they're able to investigate their targets before they try to hit them. When you're shooting these big artillery guns, it's kind of a game of guess and check. You shoot the gun, you hope it hits the target, and then if it doesn't, you adjust it and try again. When you have a drone in the air to observe where that shot actually hits,
Bingo.
you can more precisely calibrate your gun so that you're hitting your target more accurately. But with the rise of FPV drones and all of this customization, you're starting to see drones become carriers of explosives, bigger and bigger explosives. Just like what Francis saw, a customized explosive that is attached to a drone with a 3D printed quick release that with the press of a button can release the explosive on the desired target. And then of
Crazy.
course there's the kamikaze tactic, which is just to strap an explosive to a drone and run it right into a target like a tank. This effectively turns your cheap drone into a precision guided missile,
Yeah.
something that would cost orders of magnitude more. But as these techniques become more and more sophisticated, so do the counterattacks. Russia counters all of this not only with drones of their own, they now have fleets of drones that they are using to attack Ukrainians.
It's like the drone arms race, isn't it? These things are just going crazy, crazy, crazy. Where's it going to stop?
Cities, but also with electronic warfare, which basically means jamming signals. This whole tactic relies on radio signals that allow a pilot to see where they're flying and to control the drone remotely. Russia is getting better and better at putting out signal jammers to stop pilots from seeing and controlling their drone. You can see some of this interference happening in some of these drone feeds, and when your drone looks like that and you can't control it, it basically renders it useless. So to counter this, Ukrainian soldiers now put up drones that are specifically meant to boost their signal, to create kind of a bridge of a radio signal that will counteract this electronic warfare.
There we go. That arms race that I'm talking about is well and truly underway. These things are just going to get crazier and crazier. And in the next year or so, we're going to see them developed even further.
And secure a more solid signal between the pilot and the drone. The cat and mouse game here is kind of the Wild West for warfare, and it is pushing drone warfare into uncharted territory. And finally, these drones on the front lines are being used to capture video, which is then edited together and usually set to like some hardcore rock music and published to the internet to boost morale in this war. Morale is a key ingredient to winning a war.
Absolutely.
And war propaganda is as old as war itself. So when Ukrainians see this footage of a Ukrainian pilot cleverly taking out a Russian target, it has a real effect.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
The rest of the world is watching this as it unfolds. This is unprecedented territory, strapping explosives to small consumer drones and using them in a real-world warfare experience. So this is going to change war forever. And in fact, we're already seeing this. The Pentagon...
You just said that. It literally is changing war forever. The next wars that will be fought off the back of this globally will we'll be showcasing all of that as well. The new technologies will be integrated into military advancements. So what I mean by that, well, at the moment these are created by effectively students and stuff like that, but the military's going to clock on at some point within their budget thinking, well, this missile costs 800 grand. For that, we could have an entire battalion strength of swarm drones for half the price. Let's do that instead. And you will see that, guys. You will definitely see the adapt and adjustment to this technology.
Recently released this proposal for small businesses in America to pitch them on how to build a small explosive or munition that they can put on a small drone. This is a part of their innovation and research effort. They say here in this document that the ability to put explosives on small drones is vital for the future of Army combat operations, and that their ability to do this would advance the US Army's modernization priorities. They're basically saying that drones are a big part of the future of war. And they emphasize that whatever this product is, it needs to be attachable by a soldier in the field, meaning someone's out there on the front lines and they can take this explosive, they can put it on a drone, and they can send it away. Exactly what they're doing in Ukraine. The Pentagon is watching what is happening and they're responding. But for those caught in the middle of this deadly war, drones are about one thing right now: and that's survival. Survival of their country. As this conflict grinds on, Ukrainians continue to show us just how serious they are about enduring this long fight, by coming together, by supporting their troops, and endlessly innovating, and in the process, ensuring that their country doesn't get swallowed by their much larger enemy.
Скільки б не було потрібно для перемоги України.
This is the thing. Is it already over in Russia's favor? Many would say it is, guys. Okay, it's not looking good. If support ended tomorrow for Ukraine, it would be all game over.
Русні все одно пизда.
Чим більше росіян ми вб'ємо зараз, тим менше росіян прийдеться вбивати нашим дітям.
What a fantastic video, man. I think, Johnny Harris is among the great YouTube content creators out there right now. And I really do want to emphasize how much I appreciate his content anyway. All right, never mind the fact that I'm reacting to it. Johnny Harris is fantastic. Make sure you go check out the original content. Link is in the description. Troops, if you like my reaction to it, I don't like calling them reactions, actually, because I like to try and, input a little bit of my military in understanding and intellect into this. Hopefully I've done the original video justice, guys. Please like, share, subscribe. If you're still here, please consider joining the Patreon. Link is in the description. And become a member of YouTube. Just press join. And I'll see you in the comments. Thank you, troops.